your name and your corporation that these buildings will last beyond the term of the President, beyond the administrators currently in Deadline. I think the best legacy of a construction project such of this magnitude is to ensure that years after, when either we have passed from this life or we are senior citizens and can go freely to movies without paying, the next generations of Filipinos will be able to say, we have never done this before, but this building still stands. One of the first directives of the President, and actually that created perhaps the parameters on how to proceed with a project of this magnitude, is a question that he asked both Secretary Singson and myself. He says, we've had various building programs for school buildings in the past. Look at what those buildings now represent. The most dilapidated buildings, and they're not only because they're old, it's also because they are of substandard quality, are the same buildings that either put the lives of our students and our teachers at risk, or buildings that easily rust or fall apart during a calamity or even a typhoon. And definitely buildings that no one can be proud of. When the President gave his green light to proceed with the PPP for school building programs, he asked the two departments ensure that the buildings will be one that the Aquino administration will be proud of, and one that will create a new benchmark for how to build classrooms in the future. One that not only is a sanctuary for our students, sometimes a sanctuary also for the community during times of typhoon. One that could be maintained easily without much cost to government, but most importantly, one that creates a sense of pride for educators, a sense of safety and attraction for students and the community as well. So that is my assignment number one to our winning contractors, to ensure that it's not only your name, it's also the Aquino administration who is at stake here. Please do not cut corners. Please do not look at the project as something that is just about business. It is about children. It's about what we invest in education. Secondly, never, ever give any gifts to myself, even at Christmas time, to any of my undersecretaries. Do not invite us for any dinners, or to assistant secretaries, to any engineer, whether in the central office or in the field, not to any principal, not to any local government unit who makes it difficult for signatures to be made. If there are problems, contact us. We will do our share in ensuring that things will be facilitated. This is a project where the President's stamp of approval is definitely also a directive to ensure that from beginning up to the end, there should be not a single question on the integrity not only of the building, but also in the process whereby the bids were submitted, the technical panel did the reviews, and the implementation all the way to construction and usage. That is an appeal that I'd like, in fact, you to concretize by signing at some stage our integrity pact. I don't think if we are to form young children into the future,
and form them in the very values that we wish our graduates to have beyond their years in school. I think even the very buildings that we put up should be a testament to the reality and the truth that in the Philippines, it is possible to put up buildings without any corruption from beginning up to the end. It's in this way that I see all of you as real partners, whether government agency, whether you are the part of the technical panel, whether you're part of the construction firm. It is possible for business to thrive and earn a decent return on investment without corrupting the very bureaucracy that provides that business. It is possible to actually show that papers can be processed all the way to local government units, whether that's a building permit, whether that's a fire permit and the like, without having to pay anyone, because the building and the way it is constructed stands by its own merit. And thirdly, my third request is, I know we'll be signing the contract today. That has been made by lawyers, and with deep apologies to Tony Umano, who himself is a lawyer, words and contracts do not mean anything unless we are able to capture the spirit of that contract. It talks about at least on paper, parameters that will allow us to fully understand in detail, as best as we could, what we wish to accomplish. But there is something terribly lacking in a contract. Many times it is unable to capture the spirit whereby the partnership is forged. And my request is that you do not look at the details of the contract and forget at the same time the spirit behind it. The spirit of the contract is to construct en masse quality buildings, classrooms, that would be used by our students at the fastest possible time, without shortcutting the construction and thereby sacrificing the integrity of the building. I know the contract specifies a certain number of months whereby the buildings can be finished. We can be very legalistic about it, but my appeal to you is to please construct it at the fastest possible time. Turn over the classrooms, hopefully majority of them before June 2013, because we will definitely be using those classrooms as soon as you turn them over to us, and ensure that things can continue to be better in terms of implementation than what is in the contract. Obviously, a contract specifies the minimum standards, but we would be happy if you're able to look at other aspects of the building, the environment, the construction, that could add value even if it's not specified in the contract. Those are my three requests, directives, and let me summarize, because I think this is most critical to the department. Number one, the integrity of the building should never ever be compromised. And it's about children, it's not about classrooms. Number two, never ever give any gifts, bribes, oil money to any of the officials, from myself, but all the way to the principal of every school, division, even to local government units. This building must be as strong in integrity as the structure is itself. And thirdly, if you could ensure that the buildings could be constructed and turned over faster than indicated in the contract, and if there are other things you could add to make sure that the school, the whole campus, and not just the building looks nice, that would certainly be very well appreciated by our people. And at the end of the day, it's not about what is stipulated in a legalistic manner. It is about the spirit of this partnership. Let me now shift to why this is a historic event, and why the people gathered in this hall are hopefully taking notes and pictures of a most historic event in the department. Yesterday, the President gathered the cabinet. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, for a historic announcement on what heretofore has been just a dream. Peace in Mindanao. I tried to check out what the immediate reactions of the netizens have been over this very momentous announcement. There are still amongst us Filipinos who say it will never happen. Peace is something that is out there, but we will never have peace in the Philippines, much less in Mindanao. I felt a lump on my throat when I read those comments from our fellow Filipinos. I've always felt that one of the biggest drain on the economy and the biggest cross that we carry are citizens who have lost hope, have become skeptical, cynical about what we could do in terms of change. I have to be very candid and say, when the department first broached the idea of a public-private partnership, and even as we speak, you know what types of comments we continue to receive. Number one, I don't think a great majority of our people believe in public-private partnerships. I think there is a lot of skepticism that something like this can be implemented. There is a lot of there are a lot of questions in terms of, for example, even the pricing, and whether this is at all a prudent idea. But more than anything, I wish to remind the group that there were actually 6 that pre-qualified. And actually, only 2 had the audacity to take that risk and invest in something that maybe the more prudent among us will say it is a terrible risk. The first questions we were asked was, what happens if after the term of the President, Congress changes its mind? And to be very honest with you, I have no guarantee that they will not. It is in this context that I sincerely thank those who invested, whether these are in the investors in the construction itself, whether these are the financial backers for the project. Looking back, I told myself, the Philippines will never move forward unless there are risk takers who say, by engaging government, the message that we rarely hear today: do not trust government. They change their minds quite frequently, and they will only give in if there also is a return
and a incentive to those who make those decisions. By actually pushing for the bid and participating from beginning until the end, our two winners are actually investing in the hope that it is possible to trust government again. And I think that is something that I will always remember as an important contribution to nation building. This is not only about a regular bidding. You know, in the department, we have biddings left and right. And many of those who bid do it for the business and without any real investment in terms of the risk that they take. This is a different type of investment. 2 days before the actual opening of the bids, I asked Yusek Francis, do you think anyone will actually take that risk? And we really were not sure, because the more prudent businessman would not want to engage government for something of this magnitude. So I'd like to thank you, because it is an investment not only to the construction of classrooms, it is an investment that translates into, there are two groups that have shown, and they have put their money where their mouth is and their reputation, and they're actually saying, we are willing to engage government. Government is trustworthy, they will keep their word. From the Department of Education, I'd like to give you my assurance that we will support you all the way, and even if I'm not in the department anymore, I will fight to ensure that this project continues and that you will be paid. If I am not in government by that time, I will use my moral suasion. And if that does not work, I will certainly pray on my knees. But this is critical, because very few of those who bid take that risk. And many times they put up a lot of volatility to protect them by putting your money where your mouth is. You have actually created a new path for towards engaging government. Number two, what I have been very, very pleased about, and in a way, without discounting foreign bidders, is the fact that the two that risk and that will actually construct the classrooms are composed of all Filipino teams. Obviously, part of our colonial mentality always asks the question, why not look at benchmarks outside? Technology that are from more developed countries. I was so pleased to know that your teams are all Filipino teams. This is a momentous time for the country. Everything is looking bright. And Filipino engineers, architects, the teams that are part of projects of this magnitude will show, first of all, Filipinos, especially the skeptics among us, that kaya ng Pinoy. Our technology, our expertise will allow us to build on this magnitude, and the quality is not compromised. In fact, it is very, very adapted to Philippine settings.
And number two, what we're really saying is that the Filipino is ready to use this same technology abroad and in other countries. I think that is what we're hoping for. That as we serve the needs of the Filipino populace and create technology that will respond to those needs, we in fact are creating also a laboratory whereby the best, the brightest, the technicians, engineers, architects, builders will be able to use this experience to tell the whole world that the Filipino is now ready for business, not only in the Philippines, but also abroad. In closing, I sincerely thank all of you. And the list that Teresa showed in terms of partners, those who reviewed, interagency collaboration, and this will continue hopefully until the very end. Is one that the department, even if we went through a difficult time, is one that maybe we will do again for batches 2 and 3. And finally, I'd like to just mention that USEC Francis Varela would have been here. There have been a death in the family, but he has been one that has been on top of this. And I'd like to thank Teresa in particular. My promise to Teresa is after this is signed, she has official permission to get married. Maraming